temperatures continue to drop in some areas, folks are starting to bring out their space heaters to beat the chill.
Yeah, and that's understandably so, but space heaters can be used both indoors and outdoors. How safe are they? Unfortunately, we hear stories oftentimes of people misusing space heaters. So to talk about that with us this morning, we have Bobby O'Brien with the New York Fire Consultants. He's joining us now. Now, before we see a demonstration on how to properly use a space heater, Bobby, first off, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you saw it in your career as a firefighter, the mishandling of these space heaters. What would you say is the #1 mistake people make when using them?
Probably the #1 mistake that most people make is they don't read the instructions on the proper usage of the space heater. Along with that is not keeping a 3-foot distance minimum between any flammable or combustible material. Are probably the biggest factors that fires are caused with space heaters.
So, Bobby, I think an important question to ask is how exactly does a space heater work?
Well, a lot of people, in the areas where these are used in a lot of these buildings, standard plug like you see in your house, two-prong outlet. A lot of people use these adapters to try and extend and plug in more appliances to an outlet, or they'll use an extension cord to get a little bit more room. These are very, very dangerous appliances. A space heater must be plugged directly into an outlet in the wall and never use any kind of an extender or like you see the computer strips. Never, ever use those appliances.
That's great. That's great to know. I mean, regarding space heaters, things will be getting cold for a good chunk of the U.S. These space heaters are used often. What would you say, Bobby? Is it a good idea to run these all night, or should they be turned off before you head to bed?
Well, actually, you only should use a space heater when you're in that physical room, in a room where it's being used. And even if you're going to leave the room for 5 minutes to go do something, whatever else you're doing, you unplug that space heater from the wall. I know it sounds like, it's a lot to do, but the fire can start in minutes. That cord can get hot. A lot of times you see it. People will tuck it under a rug so it's not a trip hazard. That rug ignites, or underneath the couch. So, the biggest thing is to unplug it and never leave it unattended. Never leave it in a room with children or pets. Never prop it up on furniture to raise it up to extend the heat in the room. Always on a flat level surface, and always when you have physical eyes on it in a room.
Great tips right there.
Yes, and my question was, when buying a space heater, how can you tell which brands are the safest to use?
That's a great question. We get that quite a bit. We put out a monthly newsletter that details a lot of this that's on our website. But the biggest thing that I would say to people to look for is the UL listing, Underwriters Laboratory. It's on most of all electrical appliances. If it does not have that UL rating, do not spend the money. It's probably a very dangerous appliance that you're buying. At least Underwriters Laboratory, it's been tested under extreme circumstances, and you know it to work.
Do a lot of times with these space heaters too, Bobby, if they are knocked over, should they automatically shut off? Because sometimes you have children, it's unavoidable.
You do have appliances that have an automatic shut off, but the problem with that is, like, you see some of them that have that grate, and you actually see that grill or appliance in the middle that's red hot. The minute something touches that, it can ignite. The type of heater that I would like to show is that I've used is this radiator type heater. It's enclosed. It's probably the safest. You have stand-up heaters, that swivel where it's totally enclosed, where the element is not visible.
Sure.
And if something does touch it, the exposure could be limited.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'm familiar with those types of heaters.
Yeah.
They look familiar to me, so yeah.
Me too. So I guess one last question for you is, what other forms of heating do people try to use that can also cause fires?
One of the biggest things that people tend to do is they use their stove, or they'll boil hot water on top of the stove to try to generate some warmth. And that is very, very, very dangerous. You have a pot full of water, you get preoccupied, all of a sudden the water is evaporated, and then the pot goes on fire. With open gas, you could wind up having a gas leak and you could wind up becoming unconscious. It's not a good thing to use your stove or boil water to generate heat.
All right. Well, Bobby O'Brien, really appreciate it. These tips, very important to use, especially as we head into the colder months.